The skies above Zarathus were dark with smoke. Fires burned in the distance, casting an orange glow over the broken landscape. Metal scraps, fallen machines, and bodies from both sides were scattered across the ground, the war between humans. And the Dravari had reached another brutal day. Captain Alina Marcus moved carefully through the ruins. Her rifle gripped tightly. She had been fighting for 12 hours straight. Her armor was scratched and dented, and sweat rolled down her back. She had lost 4 teammates that morning, and now she was alone. A distant sound caught her attention, metal scraping against rock. Alina stopped, crouched low, and aimed her rifle toward the noise. Someone, or something, was still alive. She stepped closer and saw him, lying against a broken wall was a Dravari warrior. He was huge, at least 7 feet tall, with tough, grayish skin and deep scars across his body. His armor was broken, and one of his forearms was clearly dislocated. A deep cut across his chest was bleeding a dark blue fluid. He had a weapon near him, but he wasn't reaching for it. Instead, the alien looked up at her with tired, angry eyes. Then slowly, he lowered his head and spoke in rough, broken English. "Do it, human. Finish it." Elena's finger hovered. Near the trigger, she had trained for this. Dravari warriors were known for their cruelty. They didn't take prisoners. Her orders were simple: no survivors. And yet something about this alien made her pause. He wasn't fighting anymore. He was broken, not just in body, but in spirit. She stepped closer. "You're wounded." The alien let out a harsh breath, maybe a laugh. "You think I don't know that?" "What's your name?" she asked. The alien blinked in confusion. No human had ever asked that before. "Cathar," he said after a moment. "Commander of the 9th Talon." Alina lowered her rifle slightly. "Captain Alina Marcus, Earth Expeditionary Force." There was silence between them, except for the distant crackle of fire. Alina looked around. They were alone. The battlefield had moved on. She could leave him here, or she could end it now. But she didn't. Instead, she reached into her pouch and pulled out a water pack. Slowly, carefully, she tossed it toward him. Cathar stared at the bag, then at her. "You show mercy," he said, confused. "Why?" "I don't know," she replied honestly. "Maybe I'm tired of all the killing." Cathar struggled too. "Sit up." He grabbed the water pack and drank slowly. It dripped down his cracked lips. After a while, he looked at her again. "You're not like the others." "Neither are you," she said. A distant boom echoed through the ruins. Flinched, Alina stood up, scanning the horizon. Reinforcements could come soon from either side. "We don't have long," she said. "I can call for medevac." Cathar narrowed his eyes. "You'd take me prisoner? I'd save your life." "Why?" Lena looked at him for a moment, then replied, "Because someone has to be the first to stop." Cathar didn't respond right away. He had been raised to see humans as weak, emotion-driven creatures. But now, faced with one who had power over him and chose not to use it, he felt something strange respect. "Then I will not fight you," he said, lowering his head once more. "Do what you must." Alina raised her cum device and spoke in two. Command. This is Captain Marcus. I have a live Dravari. Requesting prisoner status. He's wounded. Coordinates transmitting now. I'll need a stretcher team." There was silence on the other end. Then a voice answered coldly. "Repeat." "That captain? A live Dravari?" "Yes, sir." "He's not a threat anymore." "Understood." "Stand by." Cathar watched her as she ended the call. "Your people won't like this." She sighed. "Probably not." Minutes passed slowly. Sky above grew darker as evening fell. The sound of distant gunfire faded. For the first time in days, there was a kind of peace here, a strange peace, between two former enemies. Cathar leaned his head back against the wall. "My people believe mercy is weakness." Lena sat down beside a piece of rubble, her rifle resting across her knees. "Mine used to think the same. But history teaches us that mercy is strength." He looked at her, truly looked at her, and for the first time he saw not just a human, but a person. Then, over the horizon, the low hum of a dropship approached. Cathar turned his head toward the sound. So, this is how it begins. Alina gave a tired smile. Maybe. Hey. The dropship landed in a whirl of dust and heat. Human medics stepped out, their faces tense as they spotted the alien. Captain. What? Are you sure? One asked. Alina nodded. He's coming with us. As they lifted Cathar onto the stretcher, he looked at her once more. You could have let me die. I know, she said, but I didn't. As the ship lifted into the sky, the war below still burned. But something had changed, something small but powerful. One human reached out. One alien accepted, and somewhere, a new future quietly began. The dropship landed hard at the human base on Zarathus. Dust swirled in the air as medics rushed to unload the wounded alien warrior. Captain Alina Marcus followed close behind, her heart heavy with the weight of what she had done. She had saved the enemy Cathar, feared Dravari commander, and now she had to face the consequences. Inside the base, sounds of machines, alarms, and soldiers filled the large medical bay. Humans moved quickly, tending to their own wounded, preparing weapons and keeping watch. Alina pushed through the crowd, leading Cathar on a stretcher to the quarantine ward. The room was cold and bright, with metal walls and sharp smells of antiseptic. Cathar lay still, his many arms tied gently to prevent any sudden moves. Medics examined his wounds with cautious hands. Alina stood by the door, arms crossed, watching silently. Soon, Major Reed, Alina's commanding officer, entered the room. His face was grim as he looked at Cathar.
Captain Marcus?
What do you think you're doing, bringing the enemy here alive? After everything they've done? Alina met his gaze firmly. He's wounded, Major. I saved his life. Reed shook his head. You could have put him down. This is war, Captain. We don't take prisoners from the Dravari. But he didn't fight back, Alina replied. He surrendered. And he asked for mercy. Major Reed's eyes narrowed. Mercy's a luxury in war, Marcus. You're lucky. I don't court-martial you. Alina didn't back down. Maybe mercy is what we need to end this war. Reed turned and left without another word, leaving Alina standing alone beside the alien. Cathara's eyes opened slowly. The blue glow of the lights made his pupils narrow. He looked at Alina and whispered, Why? Why do you protect me? Alina stepped closer. Because no one should die without a reason. You fought bravely, but this war, it's tearing us all apart. He struggled to speak. I was raised to fight, to kill. Mercy is weakness. It's not always, she said softly. Sometimes mercy is the first step toward peace. For the first time, Cathar seemed to consider her words. Over the next days, Alina visited Cathar as often as she could. The other soldiers avoided him, whispering behind their hands. Many saw him only as the enemy, the monster who had killed their friends. But Alina saw something different. She saw pain, honor, and confusion. One afternoon, as Alina entered the quarantine room, Cathar was awake and trying to move. His many arms were healing, but he was still weak. Alina, he said in a rough voice, Tell me about your people. Alina smiled gently. What do you want to know? He looked around the room, then back to her. Why do humans fight? Why come all this way to Zarathus? Alina took a deep breath. We come to find new worlds, new allies, new chances. But sometimes we bring war too. Cathar's face darkened. War is all I have ever known. My people fight to protect. What is ours, and your honor? It demands loyalty, strength, victory. Alina nodded. Honor is important to us too. But so is understanding. Cathar looked at her, curious. Understanding? From a human? Yes, she said. I believe if we understood each other better, maybe the fighting would stop. He laughed softly, a sound strange and almost human. You are different, Alina Marcus. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. The days passed and Cathar's wounds healed. He was no longer tied to the bed. He could sit up and even speak more freely. Alina shared stories of Earth, of humans struggling and surviving through hardship and hope. Cathar told her about the Draverse Warrior Code, the pressure to be perfect, the pain of loss. Their talks were slow, cautious, but real. Not everyone at the base approved. One night, Alina heard soldiers arguing in the hallway. "He's monster," one shouted. "We shouldn't waste time on him." "Captain Marcus is risking us all," another said. This alien could be a spy. Lena clenched her fists but said nothing. She knew trust would take time. One evening, as the sun set beyond the base, Lena sat beside Cathar, watching the orange sky. "Do you miss your home?" she asked. Cathar's eyes softened. "I do, but my home is gone, burned in this war." "Elenas," the voice was gentle. "Maybe we can help build something new." He looked at her, hope flickering. "You saved me, not as a prisoner, but as a person, because I believe even enemies can be friends." Cathar smiled faintly. "I never thought I would hear that from a human." Suddenly, the base alarm blared. Red lights flashed. Lena stood up quickly. "What's happening?" Cathar asked, rising slowly. A soldier ran into the room. "Major, we have incoming." "Enemy fighters approaching the base perimeter." Lena grabbed her rifle. "Prepare for attack." "Cathar, stay here." He shook his head. "No, if they come for you, I will fight with you." Alina looked at him in surprise. "Are you sure?" He nodded. "You showed me mercy. Now I will protect you." The base braced for battle. The sky filled with enemy ships, faster and more dangerous than before. Explosions rocked the ground as fighters landed near the walls. Alina fought side by side with her soldiers. Their eyes kept searching for KTHAR. When the enemy broke through the outer defenses, Cathar was there, fierce and unyielding. He moved with strength and skill, using his forearms to fight multiple enemies at once. Humans and Dravari alike watched in shock and awe. Elena's heart raced. "You're fighting with us, not against us." Cathar growled, "I fight for the mercy you gave me. I will not let this base fall." Together, they pushed the invaders back. The battle was long and brutal, but the combined strength of humans and Cathar's warrior spirit turned the tide. When the last enemy ship fled, the base was battered but still standing. Alina and Cathar stood side by side, breathing heavily. "Covered in dirt and sweat, today you became more than an enemy," Alina said quietly. Cathar nodded. "I became something new." The soldiers who had doubted them looked on in stunned silence. Alina smiled tiredly. "Maybe this is how it starts, the end of the war." Cathar looked to the horizon. "Maybe mercy can change everything." The battle was over, but the real war for trust, peace, and understanding had only just begun. After the surprise attack on the base, everything changed. The humans looked at Cathar with new eyes. Some were still unsure, but many now saw him not as a threat, but as a fighter who had protected their lives. He had fought beside Captain Alina. Marcus defended the base, and risked everything for people who once called him an enemy. Still, he was watched closely. He was allowed to move around the base, but only under guard, and always with Alina nearby. One morning, Cathar sat outside the barracks, under the weak sun of Zarathis. The wind carried the dust of old battles, but the air was quiet for once. Lena walked over with 2 mugs, one with coffee, the other with heated water for Cathar. He took the warm drink and nodded in thanks. "This taste strange. Bitter," Alina smiled. "It's coffee. Humans drink it when we're tired, or angry, or thinking too much." Cathar took another sip and made a face. "Your species is stronger than I thought." They both laughed softly. It was strange peaceful. In the middle of a war, here were 2 soldiers sharing drinks, talking like old friends. Alina sat down beside him on a metal bench. "You never told me about your homeworld?" Cathar stared at the horizon for a long moment, then he spoke, his voice low. "My home was called Korthon. Mountains taller than the clouds, rivers of glowing blue water. We trained in the cliffs, hunted in the forests. We lived by the code of the Talon." "The Talon?" she asked. He nodded. "The code of strength, loyalty, no fear, no mercy." Alina was quiet. "Do you still believe in that?" "I did," he said. "I was proud to wear the Talon mark, but after I fell in battle, And you helped me. I began to question everything. She looked at him. What do you believe now? Don't. No, he admitted, but I want to learn. They sat in silence for a while. Round them, soldiers passed by, some nodding politely at Cathar, others still keeping their distance. Trust was slow, but it was growing. That evening, inside the command tent, Alina showed Cathar a small tablet screen. Images of Earth flashed, oceans, forests, cities full of light. This is where I come from, she said. Earth. Cathar leaned in, curious. It's beautiful. It's not perfect, she admitted. We've had wars too. We've made mistakes. But we keep trying. That's what makes us human. He studied the screen. Your people, they fight so hard. Not just to win, but to survive. Alina nodded. Yes, we fight for each other. For a better tomorrow. Cathar's eyes lowered. My people fight because we were told to. We were born into war. I have lost many, brothers, sisters, leaders, all for honor. She looked at him gently. What if there's another way? Didn't answer. Later that night, Cathar sat alone in the barracks. He held a small data crystal in his hand, one of the few things taken from his broken armor. He activated it, and a small blue image floated in the air. A young Dravari girl smiled at him. His niece, Cathar's voice trembled. Little one, I do not know if you live, but I am still here, and I am learning from them. Closed the message and stared into the darkness. The next day, Alina invited Cathar to the briefing room. A small team of humans had gathered. Their soldiers, scientists, even a diplomat. We're planning something, Alina said. Something risky? Cathar tilted his head. Tell me. She pointed to a map on the screen. We believe not all Dravari want this war. We've seen signs, radio messages, coded signals. There's a clan on the eastern mountains. Clan Voroth. They may be open to peace. Cathar's eyes narrowed. Clan Voroth is proud, but not blind. They have lost many fighters. Their leaders may listen. If the right one speaks, you? Alina asked. He nodded. Apps. The room fell silent. The human diplomat, an older man named Hale, spoke up. Are you sure, Cathar? If we send you, you could be killed. Cathar stood tall. I would rather die trying for peace than live chained to an old war. Alina looked at him with quiet pride. We'll go together. Preparations began. Supplies were packed. A small team of humans volunteered to join Alina and Cathar. It would be dangerous. They'd travel across enemy territory, through canyons and ruins, to reach the mountain where Clan Voroth had made camp. Before they left, Cathar approached one of the human soldiers who had once doubted him. I owe you nothing, the soldier said coldly. Cathar didn't argue. He simply said, May your next fight be your last. The soldier blinked. What does that mean? Cathar turned to leave. That you may find peace soon. The soldier was left speechless. On the morning of departure, as the sun rose over the hills, Cathar and Alina stood at the edge of the base, ready to begin their mission. She adjusted her gear. You ready for this? Cathar nodded. For the first time in my life? Yes. They began walking together into the unknown. Side by side, not as enemies, not as prisoners and guards, but as something new, as friends, as hope. The journey toward Clan Voroth's mountain camp was difficult. Lena Cathar and their small team traveled through jagged rocks, deep canyons, and dry riverbeds. The air was thin and cold, and the sun burned hot during the day. Every step was watched. Every sound could mean danger. Cathar led the way, his forearms moving skillfully over the rocky ground. He knew the land from stories, but had never walked it himself. Alina followed closely, her rifle ready. Eyes sharp, they shared little in words, but their silence was not uncomfortable. It was filled with thought and hope. One night they camped. Near a small cave, round the fire, Alina studied Cathar's face. You seem quieter than before, she said softly. Cathar looked into the flames. I think about my people, the warriors who will hear of this. They will see me as a traitor. Alina nodded. Sometimes doing what is right feels like betrayal, but it is courage, too. He smiled faintly. You teach me much, Captain. Suddenly, the ground shook beneath them. The fire flickered wildly. Alina stood quickly, alert. Earthquake, one of the soldiers whispered. Cathar's eyes narrowed. That was an explosion. Far away, a column of black smoke rose into the sky. We must move, Elena said. That could be a sign of danger, maybe from another Dravari group. Team packed fast and hurried toward the smoke. As they neared, they found wreckage-destroyed vehicles, scattered weapons, and signs of a fight. Suddenly, a voice came from behind a rock. Human. Dravari. Elena raised her rifle, but Cathar stepped forward. Wait. Friend. A wounded soldier crawled out, his armor torn, face dirty and pale. I'm Yarick, he said. From the third clan, the ones attacking your base. They found us before we could escape. Elena's heart tightened. What happened? Yarick gasped. We were ambushed. A new force, different from us, attacked. They burned our camp, took prisoners. They want to destroy all clans that want peace. Cathar clenched his fists. This is worse than I thought. Alina looked at her team. We must warn the base. Prepare for another attack. Yarick nodded. Weakly, they use strange weapons, faster ships. They don't care about honor. Cathar growled softly. These are not Dravari. Elena's mind raced. This new enemy could destroy everything, even the chance for peace. We'll return to the base, she said firmly, and fight together. On the way back, Cathar kept watch, his sharp eyes searching the skies. The new enemy. Who are they? Alina asked quietly. I don't know, he replied. But they have no honor. They are merciless. When they reached the base, it was tense. Soldiers moved quickly, preparing defenses. Alina and Cathar warned Major Reed and the commanders. Reed frowned. Another attack? We're already stretched thin? Alina looked at him. Can't. Ignore it. This new enemy may be worse than the Dravari War, Cathar added. If we do not unite, we will all fall. Ash! A council was called, with leaders from various human units and diplomats. Cathar's presence surprised many, but his warning was taken seriously. We must prepare, said General Ortega. If this new enemy attacks, it won't be like the Dravari. We need every hand. Alina and Cathar worked together, training soldiers, sharing knowledge. Cathar taught them Dravari tactics and weaknesses, helping humans plan better defenses. Days passed. The base was busy. Machines hummed, ships repaired, weapons loaded. But beneath it all was a sense of fear. Then, one night, alarms blared again. Incoming. Fleet! A lookout shouted. The sky filled with fast ships, sleek and black. The new enemy was here. The battle began. Alina and Cathar fought side by side once more. The enemy ships moved quickly, attacking with strange weapons that hurt human defenses. But Cathar's knowledge helped the soldiers avoid traps and strike back hard. Despite the surprise, the humans held their ground. During the fight, Alina saw Cathar leap from the ground to a ship, his forearms breaking through its hull. He fought like a storm, tearing through the enemy's forces with strength and skill. The soldiers cheered as the enemy's formation broke. When the last ship fled, the base was damaged but still standing. Alina and Cathar looked around at the tired but victorious faces. This fight is not over, Cathar said. But we have shown them our strength together. Alina smiled, exhaustion in her eyes. Together. That night, the leaders met again. We must reach out to other clans, Alina said. If we can unite with more Dravari, we stand a chance. Nodded. Peace is fragile, but it is worth fighting for. The new enemy was a dark shadow over the galaxy. But in the hearts of humans and one alien warrior, a spark of hope burned brighter than ever. After the fierce battle with the new enemy, the base was still standing, but the price had been high. Soldiers were tired, machines were damaged, and the fear of what would come next hung heavy in the air. Alina and Cathar knew they had to act fast. They could not wait for the enemy to strike again. The only hope was to unite the clans of the Dravari who wanted peace and to join forces with the humans. The next morning, Alina gathered her team in the briefing room. "We have to make contact with more clans," she said firmly. "If we stand divided, we will fall." Cathar nodded. "I will go. I know the language, the codes. I can speak as one of them." A small group of soldiers volunteered to join him. They would travel to the eastern mountains to find Clan Vorthond, other clans willing to listen. Alina looked at Cathar. "We'll stay here, protect the base, and be ready to support you." He bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, Captain." The journey to the mountain camp was long and dangerous. Cathar and the soldiers moved carefully through narrow passes and rocky trails. The air was thin, and the cold bit at their skin. When they finally reached Clan Vorth's camp, the mood was tense. The warriors of the clan watched them with suspicion and weapons ready. Cathar stepped forward, raising his hands in a sign of peace. "I come not to fight," he said loudly, "but to speak of peace." The clan leader, a large Dravari with scars across his face, studied Cathar closely. "Why should we trust a human ally?" he growled. Cathar met his gaze. "Because I fought beside them. Because I chose mercy over war." The leader laughed harshly. "Mercy is weakness." "No," Cathar said calmly. "Mercy is strength. The strength to change." After long talks around the campfire, some of the warriors lowered their weapons. Others still watched silently. Elena's team arrived soon after and joined the talks. They shared stories of the war, the new enemy, and the hope for a future without endless fighting. Slowly, the clan began to listen. One by one, other clans sent word, some ready to join the alliance, others refusing. Back at the base, Alina prepared defenses. She trained her soldiers, repaired ships, and kept communication open with single quotes. Tar, the alliance grew stronger. But the new enemy did not wait. One night, as the stars shone cold and distant, the base was attacked again. This time, the enemy came in larger numbers. Strange machines and weapons never seen before. The battle was brutal. Alina fought fiercely, directing soldiers and dodging fire. Cathar moved like a shadow through the chaos, striking down enemies with skill and rage. But the enemy was powerful. Just as it seemed the base might fall, ships from the newly formed alliance arrived, clan fighters flying fast. Joining the battle, the tide turned. Together, humans and Dravari drove the enemy back. After the battle, Alina stood with Cathar on the damaged walls. "We're stronger together," she said, her voice tired but hopeful. Cathar nodded. "The alliance is growing. We'll protect our future." Alina smiled. "And maybe, one day, we will end this war." Cathar looked at her, hope shining in his eyes. "For the first time in my life," he said softly, "I believe in peace." The alliance between the humans and the Dravari clans was growing stronger. For the first time in many years, there was hope that the endless cycle of war might finally end. Captain Alina. Marcus and Cathar stood together on the observation deck of the base. Below them, soldiers worked tirelessly repairing ships, training new recruits, preparing for whatever might come next. Cathar's many eyes looked toward the stars. "Peace feels fragile, like it could break any moment." Alina nodded. "It is fragile, but worth protecting." Their moments of calm were rare. The new enemy was still out there, threatening everything they had built. Intelligence reports showed enemy fleets moving closer. The war was not over. One evening, a message arrived from one of the furthest clans in the alliance. Call for help. The enemy had attacked their home, burning villages and capturing leaders. Alina called a meeting. "We have to help them. If the enemy destroys one clan, it sends a message to all." Cathar stood. "I will lead a team to their world." Alina looked at him. "It will be dangerous." He met her eyes. "I am ready." The team assembled quickly, humans and Dravari warriors side by side. They boarded ships, hearts heavy with worry and determination. The journey was tense. Alina studied the faces around her, young soldiers, hardened warriors, all hoping for peace. When they arrived at the attacked clan's planet, the scene was heartbreaking. Homes were burned, forests scorched, and survivors huddled in fear. Cathar stepped forward to speak with the clan leader. "We will help rebuild. We will fight the enemy together." The leader, an older Dravari woman, looked at Cathar with tired eyes. "Boy, owe you much, warrior." Over the next days, the team worked. To defend the planet, they fought off enemy raids and helped the survivors. Alina saw how the Alliance was more than just soldiers. It was a community, growing stronger through trust. But the enemy was not finished. One night, a large fleet appeared in orbit, blocking the sun and casting shadows across the planet. Alina and Cathar prepared for the final battle. "This could decide everything," Lena said, gripping her rifle. Cathar's voice was calm but strong. "Then we fight not just for ourselves, but for all who believe in peace." The battle was fierce and long. The enemy attacked with ruthless power, but the Alliance fought harder. Humans and Dravari worked together, covering each other's weaknesses and building on their strengths. Cathar led a daring attack on the enemy's command ship. With his many arms and fierce spirit, he broke through their defenses and disrupted their control. The enemy fleet began to fall apart. At last, ships retreated. The war was not over, but the enemy's power was broken. In the quiet after the battle, Alina and Cathar stood together once more. "Your mercy saved me," Cathar said softly. "I will spend my life protecting that mercy." Alina smiled. "And your strength saved us all." The Alliance was not perfect. There were still doubts, fears, and scars. But for the first time, humans and Dravari had something precious, a chance for peace. Cathar looked at the stars again. "Maybe one day the war will be only a story." Alina nodded. "We will be the ones who wrote the ending." As they stood side by side, warriors no longer divided by old battles, a new chapter began, a story of hope, courage, and the power of mercy.